That's a great question. And it's true that markets have seen a strong run, but strong runs don't move in a straight line. After one of the strongest quarters for US equities in several years, it may feel surprising to see market volatility starting to pick up again. But in many ways, that's how the market works. When prices move quickly, expectations rise quickly too, and investors become more sensitive to new information. In my role as Director of Product Research, I get a broad view across investment strategies, asset classes, and portfolio manager perspectives. So I wanted to step back from the day-to-day headlines and put the recent volatility into context. The key point is that this is not being driven by one single issue. Markets are digesting a combination of factors, including inflation, interest rate expectations, energy prices, geopolitics, corporate earnings expectations, and some rotation within equity markets after a very strong run. On the economic side, the latest US job report was softer than expected, but the broader labor market story is not one of sharp deterioration. Unemployment remains relatively low, and the US economy continues to show areas of resilience. So I'd like to frame this as markets reassessing the range of possible outcomes, whether resilience continues, whether growth slows more meaningfully, and what that means for inflation and interest rates. Now, of course, inflation remains central to the conversation, and energy is a good example of how quickly the market narrative can change. A few weeks ago, the concern was an immediate oil shock tied to the Strait of Hormuz. More recently, oil prices have eased as additional supply from OPEC have helped reduce some short-term inflation pressure. That is encouraging, but energy remains a risk to monitor because any renewed disruption could still feed back into oil prices, inflation expectations, and the interest rate outlook. Central banks, of course, are also in focus. In Canada, the Bank of Canada remained focused on inflation and external risks. And in the US, the notable change is not just new leadership under Fed Governor Kevin Warsh, but a potential shift towards less explicit forward guidance. And that really means that markets may rely more on incoming data to assess the path of interest rates, and this could add to some short-term volatility. On the equity side, part of the story is that markets have been remarkably resilient. A lot of the strength has come from areas like technology, AI, and semiconductors. But after a strong rally, the bar only gets higher. Investors want to see that earnings growth can continue, that AI-related investment can translate into real profit, and that market leadership can broaden beyond a narrow group of companies. So I'd characterize the current market environment as resilient, but more demanding. The economy has not broken, but markets are asking for continued confirmation from inflation, central banks, corporate earnings, energy prices, and market breadth. I'd actually like to close with this chart that does an excellent job of illustrating the fact that pullbacks are not unusual. They are part of the normal experience of investing. Volatility is uncomfortable, but it is not a signal that the plan is broken. It is often the price investors pay for the opportunity to participate in long-term market growth. So in periods like this, the goal is not to predict every short-term move. The goal is to stay diversified, stay aligned with the plan, and stay disciplined while markets work through uncertainty. Markets don't reward comfort, they reward discipline. And discipline matters most when markets feel uncertain.